G'day, Chief. Welcome to the Inner Chief podcast and the final episode for 2023. This year we passed 300 episodes. We passed 6 years as a business with Chief Maker. And what I like to do at the end of every year is sit back and reflect and ask myself some questions. One question that got raised this year was by Jay Abraham, episode 301. And Jay likes to ask people, what got you here? And I thought, what better way to finish the year than a conglomeration of lessons from chiefs, from our own experiments as a business, as an individual, as a family, to see if some of the things that we have tried have played out, and maybe some of the things that we have been trying to fix in our business and in our life are some things you've battled with as well. Because if there's certainly one thing we know through coaching is that is you're not alone. You very often feel like you're the only one going through the chaos, the mayhem, the crazy stakeholders, the uninspired employees, the growth targets, the massive amounts of transformation you've got to follow. You're not alone. Everybody's going through these challenges, and maybe, just maybe, there's a few things out of this list that you can steal, beg, borrow, whatever you like, Chief. I hope it gives you some sort of process or inspiration. So today's episode is about the 15 things I've learnt this year. I put a really clear guideline around learnt though. Learnt is just something I found out about. It's something that I've been trying to implement in my life or get right, but this year I felt like I really got it. It's done, it's implemented, it's working. It might not be perfect, but I'm certainly doing it a lot better than I ever have before. Now, at the back end of Chief Maker, this is a bit of context. We use a coaching method in the very, very back end called MPS. MPS stands for mindset, process, and skill. And when you're on your journey to mastery, doesn't matter what it is, mindset, process, skill are the three main elements that we will need to work on. So if you need to learn how to do marketing or you learn how to do strategy, do you understand the mindset? Do you understand the process? And do you have the micro skills to do that job? The same with feedback. This year I had an individual, someone I've been coaching one-to-one, one of his biggest goals was to get fitter. And I said to him, hey, do you understand the process and the skills required at a higher level to improve fitness, right? Things like periodization, about structured training programs, about everything for the macronutrients in your body. Do you understand all that? Because if you don't, it's very difficult to master fitness. So these 15 things are sort of a variable or one in every single one of them is either a mindset or a process or a skill acquisition that has helped me master this particular thing. Now, what's the context? For those that don't know me, and if this is something, if you're fairly new to the Inner Chief and Chief Maker, look, I'm a small business owner. We've grown our business the last 5 years. It's really going quite well now after some really, really hard years through COVID. We had a couple of years where our revenue was down nearly 80% as we were locked down. But we've come out of that and everything is now going really well. I've got my wife is our director of marketing. We work in the business together regularly, all the time, not just regularly. We have 3 kids under 8, twin boys who are 7 and a little girl 4. So our life is those middle years of just busy. And it isn't always easy. And there have been many, many occasions this year where it has got the better of us, okay? But we keep trying, we keep coming back, and we just keep trying to make things a little bit better every single time. So where am I at personally at the end of this year? So I'm now the fittest I've been in a decade. I'm the lightest I've been in a decade. Our business is the most stable it's been in probably 5 years. In fact, it is definitely the most stable. We've always had a goal to create some products that we could scale our coaching business. We have done that, and we now have some wonderful clients and partners that are lining up to work with us, and that is just just wonderful to have that, this at this particular point in our business life cycle. So let me just talk through these 15 things, and they're all sorts of really awesome and different kind of things. Okay, so I'm just going to go through them from the top, tell you a very quick story about each of them and how we have come, or I have come in particular, to really utilize this as a tool. The first one, surprisingly, is music. Now, I've always loved music. You wouldn't call me the greatest music lover of all time, but this year in particular, I've learned the real power of music as a reset, in particular for our kids. I'll often work with great music, but when we're trying to get our kids out the door, or they're having a whinge fest, or they're in the car and they're screaming at each other, we have gone to music again and again and again. And we get in the car, they've got their own playlist, and they get to take turns being the DJ. And I just can't tell you how many times that has turned a horrible drive or a horrible process of getting kids out the door into something that was fun and enjoyable. So for me, number one has been using music to just completely change the tone and the atmosphere at home. So that's been a really good one. We've really learned that. That's a change we've made. Number two was all around our episode with Dr. Michael Bruce, who's the sleep doctor. And he spoke a lot about the different sleep archetypes, or the different types of people, and the way they have these energy rhythms or circadian rhythms throughout the day, early bird to night owl, these kind of different individuals, and allowing those people and honoring the different types, so that the different people that you work with actually we're really using the power of their brain at the right times of the day. For instance, I love to get up and go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. My best and most creative work is 6 till 8 a.m. in the morning. So I'll often get up at 6, I'll go to work. There's a cafe down the road from me that's really quiet, serve a fantastic coffee. I'll sit down there between 5:30 and 6 in the morning. I'll get about an hour and a half, 2 hours work done, and then I'll come back and take the kids to school. And that has just worked for me again and again and again over the years. But one of the things I would say that on top of that, that I've really learned this year has been that when I'm in, for want of a better term, sleep debt, not to think that that is okay and cool. The data that we now have about the impact on our cognitive ability when we are in sleep deprivation is irrefutable. Our cognitive function drops quickly when we don't get the different phases of sleep. And as Dr. Michael Bruce said, it's at least 7.5 hours for all of us, right? There is a 1 in 200 individual that doesn't require that. But for everybody else, if you're operating on 6 hours a day or 6 hours a night, it's not going to work, Chief. It just isn't, right? And you'll fool yourself into thinking it is. And you might decide, well, I can't fit my life into 16.5 hours a day, right? You might want it, you say, well, I need 18 hours. Down to 6 hours sleep, it isn't going to work, Chief. Listen to the Dr. Michael Bruce episode on this. So the change I've made this year is I'm really committing to 7.5 hours sleep, and I've been doing it most of the year, and it has been really good. My energy level is better, my recovery is better, and my emotional stability at home and at work is really good. The third one for me has been flow, and just getting through COVID years, we've probably lost a lot of the flow in our life. This year, I've been doing a lot more mountain biking in the hills near me, a lot of riding. My wife has been right back into tennis, and we know as coaches in high performance the power of flow. What this does with the biochemicals that get released into our body every single time we get into that zone state. Chief, there is no substitute for this. We know that's like a beautiful shower for our entire body, right? It energizes us not just for those few minutes, but for a full 24, even 48 hours afterwards. One of the great reasons that athletes really struggle post-career is because they go from being in flow 10 times a week, 20 times a week, to almost never being in flow. They're not getting that cocktail of incredible drugs that revitalize our body. And as a result, they have natural feelings of depression, anxiety, all these other issues that pop up for them. So, Chief, put flow in your life. And I don't mind if it's music, it's dance, it's it's yoga, Pilates, it's going for a ride, it's surfing, it's playing tennis or a game or cricket, whatever it is for you. Get it in your life. It's certainly something we have reinstigated this year a lot more, and it is paying dividends in the quality of our work. That takes me to fitness, Chief. So this year, as I said at the very beginning, I'm around about the fittest I've been in a decade. And that has been just a commitment to take my fitness back to really, really high levels. Okay. Now, one of the key mindset shifts, I shared this recently in an episode on protocols. The mindset shift for me, and this was really, really important, was that my going to the gym is a part of the work week. So if I work 45, 50 hours a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, who knows, right? And I go to the gym for 5 hours, that doesn't mean I work 5 hours less. That's a part of my work week. It's deep thinking time, it's zone time, it's what an elite athlete would do, it's what the best of the best do, and you should be doing it yourself. Okay? I know there are certain challenges for some people around billable hours, but for most of us, that is not the issue, Chief, right? This is really important work. Now, the second part of that has been a mindset, just leveraging the work and from the interview we did with Dr. Jeff Spencer. And he spoke a lot about most of us don't go anywhere near what we're capable of physically. We pull out of a session well before we hit our limits. And cycling, he did a lot of work in cycling. Jeff spoke about it's all about how much pain you can endure, how far you can go. And I've revisited that a lot more this year than ever before. Not for 10 years have I done this level of training. And what has been amazing is watching my body respond to that. Even though now I'm well into my 40s, no problem. Really, the body is responding. As long as you feed it the right nutrients, give it the right amount of sleep, you will just be amazed at what level of fitness you can achieve once again. Going with that, number 5. So number 1 was music. Number 2 was sleep. Number 3 was flow. Number 4 was getting my fitness back to high levels. 5 has just been the power of a tracker. So I've got a Garmin Phoenix tracker, and that has just been absolutely critical, Chief. As I watch my fitness improve, it gives me data, it gives me insights. It allows me to have some level of accountability, right? Because a lot of my training sessions get posted on Strava or Zwift, and I have other people telling me and giving me a little bit of thumbs up and kudos. The power of a tracker. If you don't have a fitness tracker and you're trying to get your fitness back on track, you're missing out. You need to get one. Right? We obviously don't have any affiliation with anyone in this regard, but look, Garmin works, I know Apple Watch works, go for it. Ice baths. This has been a real addition for me this year, and for most of the year I've been doing ice baths, or if not, just a cold shower. Like I was on away on business this last week, I was in Melbourne, and the showers are always freezing cold, so I had a 2 to 3 minute freezing cold shower, and it's just a complete and beautiful reset. Follow the work of Wim Hof if you don't already. I'm about to buy a new one for our garage at home where we built a home gym. Get into it, Chief. It is a wonderful, wonderful way for you to build into your schedule a process that revitalizes the body, calms the mind, forces you to breathe properly. There's way more to it than just freezing the body, Chief. This is a process of recovery, rejuvenation, and resetting. The next one, number 7, is voice and tone. And a wonderful thank you to Roger Love, who we had on the show just last week. Now, I'd love to say that this has been a change I've made just in the last week, but actually for most of this year, in fact, nearly all of this year, I've been working a lot on my voice, and then it was just wonderful to get a real primer and a personal coaching session from Roger on that episode. If you haven't listened to it, please go back and listen to it. So voice and tone. As a coach, as an influencer in the business world where we're actually taking away stakeholders and coaching people, voice and tone is absolutely vital. But it's also critical around home, right? The tone you take when you walk into a room. And I have found over the years, particularly when like my kids are getting crazy, or maybe it's a tense moment with all the stuff going on in the house, that if I just for a minute become aware of my tone, sometimes I've got to swallow my ego, swallow my anger, and calm it down and take away all the pressure, any accusational or challenging edge to it, and just have a nice tone. It just cools the whole room. Now, I'm not going to say I'm perfect at this all the time, Chief. I wouldn't be so bold as to say that, because our director of marketing, she might say from time to time I don't get that quite right. But Chief, this is powerful, and it is a change I've made this year, and it has definitely made a significant difference. It's something I'm really on when I'm coaching with executives or boards or executive teams, and it is really, really powerful. Listen to your tone, Chief, and make a change. As Roger Love said, your voice is an instrument. Play it well, right? Number 8 is the power of crisis, right? And there is an old saying that in every crisis there is an opportunity. So this year we had a few. In May, I had what they told me was appendicitis. I had to go and have emergency surgery, have my appendix removed. That put me out physically for about six weeks, Chief, even though we then found out that it was a false diagnosis. We won't get on that path. But Chief, what came out of that was a new love for mountain biking, because I couldn't run, I couldn't do all the other things, but I could get on an indoor trainer and build my leg muscles. And before long, I was on my mountain bike and hitting the mountains around my home a lot more. And I tell you what, Chief, fantastic. Out of that crisis came an opportunity. All right. Fast forward later in the year, and my lower back went, and I've got no discs in my lower lumbar. Very long story we don't need to go into, but I refound swimming again. Right, the crisis gave me something new, right, and I was able to leverage that challenge and turn it into something positive. COVID crushed our business, but out of that came the Mini MBA, right? Out of that came the product that we scale our business through, and is now the number one program when you measure NPS in Australia. How good is that, Chief? Do not waste a crisis. It is powerful. It's a great opportunity in your life to find something new. Number 9 is that isolation is a real problem. Now, we knew this through COVID and lockdowns. That was obvious. But what I want to draw to your attention is potentially for you some of the risks around working from home too much. I'm not saying one way or the other is right, Chief, about working from home, hybrid. You need to pay really close attention to what works for you. This year I found from time to time, we were working from home too much. And what happened was just the energy and the life and the motivation and the inspiration got lost just for a couple of weeks. And then I forced myself to get on a plane and go to Sydney or Melbourne or wherever we were traveling to, go to Brisbane and see clients and take people out to lunch or whatever I had to do. And guess what? The energy came back. So sometimes we can fool ourselves into thinking the best thing for us is just work from home because it saves us a bit of a commute. But Chiefs, all businesses, they thrive on connection. They thrive on culture. As human beings, we are social beings. We need to be around other people. We need to be inspired by others. So, Chief, be really, really careful about that. If you're struggling for inspiration and motivation, just double check that is not the main cause, right? Number 10 is a great big thanks to Mark John, who we had on the podcast very recently, about 8 or 9 weeks ago. He gave me a little gem, which has just been wonderful. It's really stayed with me. And because I've practiced gratitude for years, and that has been good, but I wouldn't say it's like a life-changing kind of process for me. It hasn't been that amazing. But Mark said his gratitude goes into this space where he feels as though he's lucky. He says, I'm lucky. I'm lucky to live where I live. I'm lucky to have the family I've got, the job opportunities I've got. And that little change from just having gratitude and being thankful for what you have to saying, hey, you know what? I'm actually lucky, really lucky to have that. And so I am incredibly grateful for what I've got. Chief, I don't know if that changes something for you, but it changed something for me. So that's been something that has stuck with me like glue since that episode with Mark. Number 11 is thanks to Dr. Jeff Spencer. In fact, number 12 is thanks to Dr. Jeff as well. Dr. Jeff spoke about the dangers so Dr. Jeff coached 42 Olympians to gold medals, coached Lance Armstrong, coached Tiger Woods. He's now, I think, in his 70s and giving back to the world. And he has a counterintuitive version of the champion's mindset. And the first thing he says is one of the great mistakes is that we just get a goal and we drive for it like crazy. We push, and we strive and we block out so much that's around us. And Dr. Jeff said, hey, that's wrong. The greats are always in this state of receivership. It's a state of flow. It's a state of relaxation, right? Now, it doesn't mean that I train like crazy, but they're in this place where they're waiting for the world to provide opportunity for them. And they're interacting a level of conscious awareness to what the world is trying to provide them. And that is a wonderful, wonderful mindset to bring to life. And I often start my week with that now. I often sit there thinking, hey, if an opportunity might come across my desk, am I really open to it? Or am I too shut off? Now, here's the interesting thing. If 11 is receivership, the flip side of that is something that Dr. Jeff also spoke about, which is that great success comes from saying no, in being disciplined. So you're in this state of receivership and you're receiving things around you. And that is really important because you have to open your conscious awareness. But at the same time, you need to maintain a level of focus because you simply cannot do everything. And this year, I've pushed away quite a lot of distracting things and made some strong decisions strategically and at an individual level that have kept me focused a lot more than in previous years. But I've loved those two additions. I've really, really embraced them this year. 13, I just wanted to put this one in here. It's called doing the inner work. I've spent years doing the inner work, Chief. 20 years now, I've been doing self-help courses on personal development. I've dived deep into personality models and shadow. I've read Nathaniel Brandon and James Hollis and Pema Chodron. And as Pema would say, I've gone to the places that scare me. But this year, more than ever, we had a lot of chiefs say, you've got to do the inner work. You've got to work on your inner chief. So this one is maybe not perfectly aligned with these things I've nailed this year. I've certainly done more work this year, but this is my call to arms for you. This just keeps coming up. You've got to do the inner work, Chief. And if you need to start somewhere, go and get a book by Nathaniel Brandon. Go and get one by James Hollis. Read The Places That Scare You by Pema Chodron. Do the personality models. Do the shadow work, right? That's the darker places of your personality that you're not that comfortable with. Do the inner work, Chief. It will be profoundly important to your emotional intelligence, to your self-regulation, to your ability to interact and have meaningful and deep relationships with people, and to just be yourself. Be your natural self, like with all of our flaws. None of us are perfect, Chief. I can tell you that, having been inside the room and had hundreds of CEOs bare their souls. To me, no one is perfect, not even close. So don't try to be, do the inner work and learn to be comfortable with the great person that you are. 14, Chief, is the power of the negative. Now, I've always loved the power of the negative. I learned this a few years ago when I was taking away a group of men and we were doing personal visions. And this one guy said to me, Greg, I've been sitting here in a corner trying to work out what the vision is for my life. And he said, for the life of me, man, I can't work that shit out. But I do know what I don't want. So I just did this thing that's called an anti-vision. It's what I don't want to do. And I thought, hey, that is fantastic. What a great application of thinking creatively about a process. So, Chief, I've been using this a bit more with clients this year. What don't you want to achieve? And then I heard Ben Ikin, the rugby league legend, the CEO of QRL, only recently he said when he's developing standards, so he turns values into standards, he said the most important thing is less about what the aspirational standard is. It's more about the things that you absolutely will not accept in your team. I thought that's really important. Often we get a bit distracted about the aspirational piece, but we haven't set the unacceptable. We've got to do that, right? That's the power of that negative. So don't forget the power of the negative. Number 15, our last one. Number 15 was a big one because I had to sit back and realize that when I wrote the Chief Maker book, I made a mistake. There's a big section missing, and it's the first part. Right? It's called I Am, or Identity, Awareness, and My Story. This is the inner work. It's the inner chief. I realized that if you're going to create a game plan for your career, if you're familiar with the book talks about the GREAT method, which stands for career game plan. Game plan, rhythm and routine, entourage, assets, and track record. But we didn't include values. We didn't include identity. And we didn't include your personal history, your story. And I realized, and that's the foundational element. So now when we've actually updated all of our infographics and our models and our online modules, now when we talk about career excellence and mastery and executive excellence, we start with identity, awareness, values. Because without that, how can you possibly bring the rest to fruition? And so many chiefs come to me at career crossroad moments, and I always start with values, every time. And then I realized that our whole process needed to be revamped. So that was a big lesson for me this year. It took a couple of years to get through this thick skull. We got there in the end though, Chief, we got there. So that's the 15 things that have really made a difference for me this year. I'm still trying to get my kids to listen to me all the time. I'm still trying to get meditation a bit better. I was good in the first half of the year, not so good in the second half of the year. There's many things, Chief, I'm still trying to nail, but those are 15 things that have really stood out for me this year, and I hope that helps. Of course, Chief, every CEO on the Inner Chief finishes with a final message of wisdom and hope. And I'd love to finish with just a little something to finish 2023. A lot of the time in the last few years, I've seen a lot of people checking out, tired, overwhelmed, sick of the organisation they work for. You've heard of quiet quitting. And I think the polarisation of politics, of all sorts of social issues right now, they're dividing us in many, many ways. And I think it's wearing people out. I think they're giving up a bit of hope. There are those out there that actually are doing the opposite, though. They're rolling their sleeves up. I think it was JFK said, don't ask what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And I'm probably more broadly going to say, stop asking what you can get out of this world, what you're due, what you're trying to build, and start asking what you can give to this world, to your community, to the people around you, and stop counting the cost, Chief. Stop counting the cost. This is the true spirit of Christmas. And to be a true chief, which means in many ways to enter the second half of your life. In the second half of life, you shift from focusing on serving self to start focusing on serving family and community. That's what it means to be a true chief, to be beyond self. So, Chief, that's it. Don't quit. Don't sit on the sideline. Stop just serving yourself, right? Become a dealer in hope for those around you in the community, and just bring your A game, Chief. You can do it. You can do it. Remember, mindset, process, skill. If you need to master something, go back to any one of those. I guarantee you, you will get some traction. So, Chief, that's it for 2023. Thank you for being our supporters, our listeners, our friends. Thank you for all the messages. I love getting messages, Chief. I love getting questions. So send them through. We read them all. We read them all, and I'll get back to you as much as I can. And in 2024, we have some outstanding CEOs. We have some great plans, Chief. The Mini MBA is going to be bigger than ever, and we can't wait. So have a very, very Merry Christmas, Chief. And as always, remember to stay epic.
Chief, one of the core skills of all great chiefs is the ability to interview and recruit the very best performers to your team. Now, many chiefs say to me that they get up to 25 or even 40% of their recruitment decisions wrong. Now, many of you who listen to this show will know that over the last 6 years, we have asked dozens of CEOs what is their number one interview question when recruiting for senior roles. What we have done is turn that into an invaluable resource. It is the 30 most powerful interview questions used by CEOs to hire high performers. These are the questions that reveal the true nature of the person in front of you. They are the ones that give or create that truth-telling moment that will help you decide whether to hire or not. Chief, if you want this resource, just go to chiefmaker.com/interview and just pop in your details and download the detailed PDF.
Now, Chief, if you're yet to rate the episode and subscribe, I hope you'll do so soon. It helps others see the magnificent value that the chiefs and gurus on the show bring to their life and career. So make sure you hit subscribe on your podcast app now, give it a 5-star rating if you think it's worthy, and leave a short review about your favourite episode.
Righto, Chief. As always, remember to stay epic.